Most of them will be starting in first, which will be a quick change in second. So the red lights come on, they're counting up, and away we go. Fantastic start from SJ. He got a brilliant jump off from pole position, but as I was mentioned earlier, Nick Kane, he got not a great start, but still being in that outside position in fourth means he can come through to the second, through turn 1 and 2 out into Castrol. But great start from pole position for SJ there.
Yeah, so Timaru here, Levels Raceway, it's a great little start. So the outside of the first row, you're actually on the racing line and you're a bit better off to get into the first corner, as Nick Kane's found out, and already sneaks up the inside and into the lead of SJ Cavell. So Nick Kane is going to carry on leading this one as he did before the red flag come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Butson had a solid start. He's still up there in third, I believe. Jace Augustine as well, coming through, which is pretty solid, but he was on the front row. But really, we're going to look for some movers and shakers a little bit further down the grid. It's a fantastic thing about a wet weather qualifying. It really mixes up the grid, shakes everything up. I remember qualifying here last year in 8th, and I had to fight through every time, and it got a bit annoying for me, but I'm sure it was fantastic for the spectators.
Here we go, the Andy McLaughlin update. He's in fourth place and just diving up the inside, not quite close enough to get inside Alex Butts in there. So Nick Kane, SJ Cavell, Alex Butts, and then Andy Mack, and then looks like Josh Augustine in there as well with Ben Rosendale. So already Ben Rosendale up there in about 6th place at the moment as they come across the line.
Yeah, it's an absolutely great start from Ben, and that's just what he wanted to do. You know, he wanted to get up forward as he dives up the inside of Josh Augustine. Apologies for that earlier. But Nick's just trying to just get away from these guys who he knows are coming. He's trying to get onto the gas, just be steady, be consistent. He definitely had tyre wear issues early in the morning. By the end of his races, as what often happens around here, the left-hand side of his tyre was well gone, which was the same for all top three, to be fair. They're racing a good pace, and it does put a lot of strain on these tyres. But he's made a bit of a gap at the moment, and he'll try, no doubt, to keep that as big as he can moving forward in this race.
I think that's the Andy McLaughlin update up into second there. He just got out of Castrol really well and flew up into second place. So 3 wide as they head into the McKissick curve. That's third, fourth and fifth there. Alex Butson trying to get inside SJ Cavell, who's been overtaken by Ben Rosendale, and there's Nick Sutherwood there already around the outside, so into the hairpin he'll go. So those Sutherwood Racing boys already right up in the top group. So Nick Kane, Andy Mack, they're going to want to try and get away with this one if they can.
Yeah, it definitely turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Nick Sutherwood and for Ben Rosendale. They got a much better start to this one. Obviously, Ben all the way up into third already and closing down on Andy Mack. Andy will be very happy with this one as well. He may not be quite as close to Nick as he was in the last race, but he's doing very, very well, and he's there in the group, and that's where he needs to be. It's very hard to make a gap if it takes too long to get through the side riders into the sort of back of the front pack. If there's too big of a gap, it's very difficult to close that down. But he's right there on the back of Nick now, and he's going to try and stay there for the rest of the race. Ben's going to probably close that gap a little bit more, I would expect to as well, and we might see Nick get past and close that gap too, depending on how he can ride over the next few laps.
Yeah, well, of course, the 8-lapper before, I think Nick Sutherwood just ran out of laps. He'd caught up to the Nick and Ben show, so this 12-lapper will fall right into Nick Sutherwood's hands there. He's already got up inside SJ Cavell. As I say that, SJ just dives back inside him, so that's a great little fight there with the two Canterbury boys, Nick Kane, Andy McLaughlin, definitely pushing hard and trying to get away, but Ben Rosendale, our winner from this morning, he is already in third, and there we go, got an Andy Mack dive up the inside, not quite close enough. Nick takes the line away, but this is now a full-on 3-way fight for the lead.
Absolutely. This battle between the front two, Andy showing as well, Nick having to cut it off. It's definitely playing right into the hands of Ben Rosendale, who's closed right up on the back of them there. And it's going to be that way for the rest of the race, I think. I don't really expect to see anyone pull away. And we might even see Nick Sutherland join them. He's riding really well this weekend. He's right on the pace. And if they can't pull away at the front, he's going to slowly chip away and try and get there by the end. But it's also a bit of a struggle because you've got to save enough tyre to try and make a move. It's one thing to catch a group. It's another thing to pass them entirely. So we'll see how that goes later in the race, but it's still the front three, absolutely just nose to toe.
Andy Mack right on the back of Nick Kane there, so they'll look to Andy Mack get out of the slipstream and have a look up the inside into the John Jones steel left-hander. Not probably quite close enough for How late does he want to break? Not quite there. Nick Kane just holds that break in a little bit later, so he is going to lead them out into the northern end of the circuit and down into the McKissick curve. It is nothing in between. You throw a blanket over the top three at the moment. Nick Kane, Andy McLaughlin and Ben Rosendale in there as well, with Nick Sutherland coming for them as well. So this is brilliant racing, and just to think 12 months ago these guys had to share a race with the Superlight boys, and just look at this racing now. 12 months
look at Andy, just throws it up the inside. Very late move on the brakes. The bike got all out of control once he chopped down that last gear, and but that's a fantastic move. Managed to hold the line and even pull a little bit of a gap coming out of the left-hander. That is an absolutely brilliant move by Andy. He is feeling it today.
Yeah, that's good. He had to do that because look at Ben Rosendale. He's right there as well. So Andy Mack, head down and gone. He's going to lead them, and there's still 8 laps to go. So look at that. Andy Mack already just trying to pull a 3 or 4 bike length advantage as they head out and into Castrol. Great stuff. Fastest man on track is Ben Rosendale with a really low 110, a 110.05. So awesome stuff there for the Pro Twin front 3 boys.
And that 110 flat, that's an extremely quick Pro Twin time. You can dip into those 9s and you're doing very, very well. And we might even see that later on. It's a bit it's still cool, which is good conditions for racing and for lap times. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on the lap times as the race goes on. But I still can't imagine Andy's going to pull away here. I'm sure Nick will up his game. I'm sure Ben will be right there as well. So we're in for a really nice one this afternoon.
So here's the update. Andy McLaughlin in front, Nick Kane, Ben Rosendale, Nick Sutherwood, Josh Augustine, S.J. Cavell, Alex Button, Matt Bro, Chris Burt, Peter Gunn, Josh Dobley, Vaughan Main, and Jace Augustine down there in 13th with Phil Month 14, Colin Terry in 15th as well. So this is brilliant stuff. Pro Twin action, and we can't keep our eyes off the battle for the first, second and third. It is Andy Mack ahead of Nick Kane with, there we go, Ben Rosendale right there into the bus stop. 1, 2, 3, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, I imagine Andy's going to stretch his legs. He'll keep a keen eye on the lap time here. Absolutely, he's dropped back into the high 10s, but Nick going a little bit faster as well as Ben. And you can just see here, as I suspected, no one's going to be able to pull away. When you're in the front, you're pushing your own wind. You've got the slipstream being dragging back, and when you're behind, you've got that slipstream pulling you forward. So I believe we'll see these 3 nose to tail for potentially the rest of the race. But Nick Sutherwood in 4th place is the quickest out of the top 4. A couple of tenths here and there. It's a long race. He's got plenty of time to pull these guys back. So we'll keep an eye on that one too.
Yeah, still a massive 7 laps to go as they cross the line. So a great ride from Josh Augustine in 5th place. So he's had a pretty good weekend. Alex Putz and his front row stuff has made him still in 6th place. Matt Bro now ahead of S.J. Cavell. So S.J. has dropped back to 8th place. But all round a much better weekend for some of the North Island boys this time around.
Yeah, and it's always a tough track levels to come down to. If it's not your home circuit, you generally see the home boys doing pretty well. As we see Ben get very, very close to Nick on the outside of the hairpin. It's very hard to go around the outside of someone there, so he just slips in behind him for the next left-hander. And Nick keeps pushing forward. And he's stretched a few bike lengths forward. We'll see how we go there. I've no doubt Ben feels like he's being held up a little bit, but that latest Gen 3 SV that Nick rides is extremely quick. I heard Ben talking about it on the podium earlier this morning. But no doubt if he's got the pace, he'll get past him. But we'll keep a close eye on these ones too.
Yeah, I've just noticed that Nick Sutherwood gap there down to 1.7 seconds off the lead, so 1.7 seconds is all. We'll keep an eye on that one. There's still 6 laps to go, but Andy Mack with his head down trying to get away with this one. Ben Rosendale is reeled in. Nick Kane is right there behind him, and Nick Sutherwood in 4th there, so we're definitely going to keep an eye on that as we see a change for 2nd place, maybe. Not quite. I think he's done it. Yeah, I think he's done it. Awesome stuff. Ben Rosendale now into 2nd place and after Andy Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. Another little wrinkle from this morning is we had all 3 Pirelli riders on the podium this morning, being Nick, Ben and Nick, double Nick. But Andy's on the Dunlops, which he no doubt this morning perhaps couldn't make him work in the slightly colder temperatures, but being slightly warmer track temperature now, we've had bikes on track all day, and they seem to be working in the heat, and they certainly worked at Ruapuna, so maybe they're just working just enough to get him that little bit of a change up to the front there. So we'll certainly keep a keen eye on that one too.
Yeah, Ben Rosendale now in 2nd place, and already he's got right on the back of Andy Mack, so it'll only be a matter of time before this is a full-on dogfight. Nick Sutherwood will definitely keep an eye on that gap there. It was at 1.7, it is now down at 1.6. He's only taken a 10th out of it, so he's not really making too much inroads, and he's running out of laps with only 5 to go now.
Yeah, but Ben's just put in the fastest lap of the race, so 110 flat, very, very close to a 109. I'm sure he'd love to get into those times. After the race, looking back, he probably doesn't care about it right now. He just wants to get to the front, but it's a very good Pro Twin time. And Nick is still banging in the low 110s. He was half a second quicker than Nick Kane, so he might be able to pull back Nick. But yeah, it's very hard when you're following someone. You're only taking a 10th or 2 here, a 10th or 2 there. It can be very difficult to maintain that good rhythm, because all it takes is one mistake in a couple of corners, and you lose that little bit of rhythm, and you're not making any progress. So hopefully he can keep pushing forward. He's got a little bit of time left, but it could be a 4-way fight by the end of the race.
Absolutely, and we see them down in the McKissick curve and out of there. Andy Mack now under a bit of pressure from Ben Rosendale and Nick Kane right there. So if these guys start doing the big dive bombs or any sort of block pass manoeuvres, Nick Kane's still right there for it as well. So 1, 2 and 3 really close at the moment, and the man in 4th, Nick Sutherwood, the Sutherwood Racing man, is clutching them pretty quickly there. So have a look at this, into the bus stop, and nothing in it as they cross the line. Andy Mack ahead of Ben Rosendale as Ben just has a dive into the S's.
And he's there too. Is he going to pull it up and make the corner? Absolutely, that's a great move. It's a very difficult pass into turn one. You've really got to line it up from way back in the bus stop and really just time it right, because if you time your run too early through the bus stop, that just balks you, the rider in front. So that's a great move to make as they go out onto the back straight. We'll see if he can keep in front of that Yamaha. I know it's got very good pace as he tries to move to the inside to block that line. Great racecraft. You can tell he's an ex-New Zealand champion. But hang on a minute, so is Andy McLaughlin. So we'll see how we go at the end of the straight. Who's going to come out on top? And it is Ben Rosendale.
Yeah, Ben did well there. He broke the slipstream up, and also that meant that he could hold the inside line. But Andy Mack right there on the back wheel. They head into the sweeping left-hand of the McKissick curve. They head down there at the sort of a triple apex left-hand sweeping curve. Ben Rosendale ahead of Andy Mack, and now Nick Kane under a lot of pressure now from Nick Sutherwood. So this top four battle coming alive.
Yeah, Nick's just getting faster and faster. He's just logged his fastest lap of the race last time over the line at a 1:10.1 as the other lads move deep into the 1:10s, 1:10.8s for all three of them. So it definitely has become a four-rider battle, and it's exactly what we want in Pro Twins. That's the interesting thing about Pro Twins. You only have one set of tyres per weekend, so sometimes if you've got a rider who might not be as outright quick but can look after their tyres for a whole weekend, and they can be competitive come the last race while everyone slips and slides on their worn-out tyres.
Yeah, look at the pace of Josh Augustine too. He's in fifth place too. He's not too far back, only about 3.5 seconds back, so he's lapping in the 1:10s as well. So we head out onto the back straight. Ben Rosendale ahead of Andy Mack with Nick Kane still doing enough to hold off Nick Sutherwood, but there's only 3 laps to go in this one. Josh Augustine back in 5th, Alex Butson in 6th, Matt Bro and SJ Cavell 7th and 8th, and then a big fight here, 5 of them heading through the bus stop, and great stuff for the back end of the top 10. This is awesome stuff. Pro Twin action.
Yeah, Andy trying to go the long way around the outside of Ben Rosendale there off the straight. It doesn't going to work that well against a top level rider, but he's right on the rear wheel. We definitely have seen Nick slow down a wee bit. His last lap time was back into the 11s, with Nick Sutherwood, that is, still putting in the low 10s. So if Nick Sutherwood can get past, he might be able to challenge here for a 1. He's still got 2 or 3 laps to do it. There's still a little bit of racing to go. He could make this happen.
Yeah, he's going to be kicking himself with that 15th on the grid qualifying position. Really has made it hard for him the rest of the weekend, but look at this. There's nothing in it now. It's a full-on 4-way fight with Ben Rosendale, Andy McLaughlin, Nick Kane and Nick Sutherwood. Your top 4 as you see them with 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go, and Nick Kane is just putting the fastest lap of the race, so maybe he just had a little bit in the bag. Who knows what's going on? Every lap round it seems like someone's in it, someone's out of it, but that's Pro Twin racing. He's got the double slipstream as well up the straight. Andy's there. He's going to try and get the slipstream over the bend, which he moves up alongside of him. We're going to see who's got the biggest brakes at the end of the straight here for sure. There it is, Andy Mack on the inside. We might have a change for the lead. He's got the inside line heading into the John Jones Steel left-hander, and he has done it. So Andy Mack, just as we thought Ben Rosendale might be able to run away with this one, Andy Mack has answered back with a lap and a half to go and leads them into the McKissick curve. That's a very impressive move over there. Ben Rosendale was no slouch on the brakes. I've raced against him, and I can tell you he's very, very strong there. Andy's obviously loving that Yamaha, loving those Dunlops, and he can just make that bike work for him. But that's the question here, is that the right strategy? Do you want to be leading going into the last lap? That's the part you've got to think of when you're racing in a class as close as this. You really have to have a strategy and a plan for everything, but no doubt they're all just putting it all on the line at this stage. Yeah, big hats off to Nick Kane. He's done quite a good job of holding off Nick Sutherwood too, so white flag out, 1 to go. We have to keep our eyes on the top 4. It is Andy Mack leading Ben Rosendale, who's got a good run out of the S's, and head into Cashroll with Nick Kane right there now, and now Nick Sutherwood. So a full-on 4-way dogfight with 1 lap to go. And 3 out of the 4 riders just putting their fastest laps of the race. They're all really trying hard. We'll see how we can go on the straight with the slipstream battle, but Andy's got a relatively big gap. He's got 3 or 4 bike lengths over Ben. I think he might have had enough on the straight here. We'll see what Ben Rosendale can do down the back end of the circuit, but it's certainly not going to be an off the straight move as Nick Sutherwood looks up the inside of Nick Kane but doesn't quite make it work. Let's see how we go going down to McKissick. This is outstanding stuff, and I wonder if Andy's Dunlops are just coming alive at the end of the race, at the end of the weekend. Same tyres all over the weekend, so look at this. There it is. Andy Mack leads them around the McKissick curve. They're all single file and behaving themselves as they head up towards the king right and head into the hairpin. It is still Andy Mack. No one's really close enough to have a big lunge, and there we go. We see them coming out of the hairpin, all neat and tidy there. So Andy Mack, he's got a decent enough advantage. He's just got to bring it home around the left-hander and then into the bus stop. Andrew McLaughlin, he is through the bus stop, and he has done enough, I think, to run to the line. Andy McLaughlin, he'll be loving it. Missed out on the podium last time. He wins this one. Ben Rosendale, Nick Kane and Nick Sutherwood. Awesome racing. Some Pro Twin racing.
Oh, what a turnaround for Andy McLaughlin. He's going to be stoked. A bit of a hedge yes over the line. He knew he had the pace. He knew he wanted to be there. Perhaps just the cooler conditions this morning, he couldn't quite make it work with the Dunlops, but 3 different winners out of 3 races. It's fantastic pro twin racing, and it shows why you should just be involved in this class.
Yeah, we love the Pro Twins. Brilliant stuff. There's SJ coming through in 8th place. So Andy McLaughlin, Ben Rosendale, Nick Kane, Nick Sutherland, Josh Augustine, Alex Putz and Matt Bro, SJ Cavell. That's your top 8. And then let's see who's headed off the battle. I think it is Josh. So Josh is going to make it happen. So Josh gets through in 9th. Peter in 10th. Chris Burt got up there, and Vaughan Main, Jace Augustine and Colin Terry in 14th. So Sam, how about that for some Pro Twin action?
Oh, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, Pro Twin racing, it always produces some good results, but, there's not that many classes where you got the top 4 separated by, half a second or whatever it was, 1 second on the line. It's just an incredible class to be in. All the bikes are very similar, but we've seen, we've been a Yamaha, we've seen 3 Suzukis there, we've seen Dunlops, we've seen Metzlers at the front at some stage this year, we've seen Pirellis. There's Bridgestone guys out there. It's just a great class to be in. Highly recommend it. Thanks very much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Sam from Mega Motorcycle Centre. Awesome to have his insight and knowledge in the Pro Twin racing, and just brilliant stuff. And the Pro Twin family, hats off to them with some great racing. There's some handshakes and some good sportsmanship all across the racing there. So we'll cross down now to Neil, who will have our guys on the podium.
Wow, look at this here. We can feel the moisture coming down, and we've got effectively 2 races to go. Oh, sorry, 3 to go. Wow, what's this going to do? Look around. No, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Hey, I don't think it's coming to anything. So here we are. The moisture drops are here, and there's no severe black cloud. Yeah, it's certainly darkening up. No 2 ways about that. But all right, let's get this group on the podium. All right, well, here we are with our podium, and great to see our Pro Twin class. Do you realise you've taken every position on the podium this weekend, Nick? Unfortunately, it's got a bit worse for you.
Yeah, no, it's been not the best, but I mean, a podium every race is pretty good, but it would have been better having first. But yeah, I'm happy with this. It was a long race, and I tried to manage the tyres a bit, but they still were wearing out at the end of the race. And I think my fastest lap was the second to last lap, so, but otherwise it was pretty good,
Great to see, great to see. Oh, Ben, what a race with Andy that time, mate. He wasn't going to give it to you, was he?
No, but that's how I like it, eh? That's what we're here for the battles, man. And when you come up on top after a good battle, it's a way better feeling than running away with it. All credit to Andy, he's riding that thing well, and bring on the next round.
Do you realise all 3 of you have shared a win here today? That's how good this is. So, man, oh man, 3 different winners. We're in for a real championship. Well done, Andy. It's a good smile on your face.
Yeah, it's great to be back up front. I had a few issues earlier yesterday with the rain and whatnot, but pretty happy to stay upright, got some points. Had some great dicing with Benno and Nick, and these guys ride real smooth, so it's a pleasure to race with them. And yeah, it's a good class. I'm really enjoying myself. Big thanks to John Adair for putting the bike together. I'm really enjoying riding it. It's awesome. Bring on up north and Hendon Downs. I don't know how that'll go, but we'll see.
And you guys have got the weather on your side as well. It can do what it likes now, can't it?
Yeah, we're not really too fast. I wouldn't mind if it stayed dry while I pack up. But
There they are indeed. All right, with our 3 major races to go, folks, there it is, our Pro Twin battle and our update. So well done. Courtesy of King's Motors of King Street Motors. My apologies. I'll make that up a couple of times. King Street Motors, right here in Timaru at 143 King Street. Daryl Heffernan is the Hennepin, my apologies, is the man out there. So there we go. King Street Motors, for your automotive requirements, proud to be supporting racing.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there from the Pro Twin boys, and awesome racing all through there. Now we head to this 125 GP 250 mono class in with the Superlight boys, so two classes in the same race. And the Superlight boys, they go off the front, and it is Chris Huddlestone there, lining up on the first row of the grid, so he's in there as well. There's Dennis Charlotte, so back on the 650 twin, so saw the wobbly go out for a few laps, but obviously not quite ready to go, so Dennis Charlotte back on the 650 twin, so watch for him to get a great start off the line.